What's up, guys, and welcome to the weekly Q&A.
All right, our first question comes from Dazed and Flores, who asks about George Lucas's plans for the sequel trilogy going microbiotic, and if the Force was ever explained like that in Legends.
I don't recall the Force ever being explained that way in Legends. I just really kind of wanted to talk about George's plans, because I haven't on the channel. We haven't really talked about it. Did you read all that stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Kind of weird.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would have been into that. Like, I was one of the people that was not a fan of the midichlorians. Like, we've talked about kind of my philosophy of the Force is that I always thought that it should be available to everyone and that it shouldn't be predetermined by bacteria. And I still subscribe to the theory that the midichlorians are more a side effect of Force sensitivity than anything else. So going more microbiotic and learning more about the midichlorians, I think would have just been kind of like, I don't think I would have been into it.
So his idea was that the wills were inside the midichlorians.
People? Yeah. Like basically that we are all vessels to the wills.
Yeah.
And that they also control the Force and speak to people, I think, through the midichlorians.
Mm-hmm.
But basically the idea being that the wills affect everything in the galaxy. And I think what he was driving at was kind of destiny and predetermination, because destiny is a huge theme in Star Wars, and that maybe they would figure out in episodes 7, 8, and 9 about the wills, and that there are these beings, and then they would kind of fight against destiny, and maybe it would be a message of, like, your fate is not predetermined, you control your destiny, which that is kind of interesting, but it's just so, like, high concept and not really what I enjoy about Star Wars. I
mean, you gotta give it to George Lucas being the genius that he is and thinking on that level.
Yeah.
But that would have been an interesting turn of events.
It's something like I don't think I would have really enjoyed it as much as I am currently enjoying this new. And like, yeah, I would kind of admit that the Disney Star Wars, it's definitely more simple than what George would have wanted to do. But I like that he said, I would have done it, and half of the people would have hated it, but I would have done it. Like,
yeah.
Like, good for him. And what kind of bums me out is that that's probably some stuff that he was really excited to share. And, like, the midichlorians in episode 1 were, like, the tip of the iceberg, and then people just hated on him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, yeah, why would I keep making these movies? Why would I tell you my ideas if I'm just going to get constant hate for it? That bums me out, because I'm sure bringing that all to a close would have been fun for him, and I feel like he should have been allowed to do that, and it sucks that he just decided not worth it because of those kinds of fans.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is an interesting idea, and I like to think that if I had seen it, and even if I didn't like it, I would have treated it like the prequels, where I'm just kind of like, well, all right.
Mm-hmm. So in early concepts of A New Hope, it was originally going to be like a Star Wars story, the Journal of the Wills.
Right.
And it was basically the Wills were these immortal beings telling the story
Right.
of the people that they're kind of controlling.
Yeah, so like this was always, the wills were always in George's head, and I'm sure there would have been more to it. It would be interesting to someday see his treatments. I doubt we ever will, but it'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, there was a long rambling discussion about George's original ideas.
Daryl Cooper wants to know if we're excited to see Phasma in Star Wars Resistance, the new animated series coming out, since you were so disappointed by her use in The Last Jedi.
Yeah, that's something that I'm always going to be like a little salty about, is reading the Phasma book, reading the Phasma comic, and being like, holy cow, she's about to kick some ass. And then she didn't at all. So am I excited to see her in Resistance? Yes, because so far, all of her portrayals outside of the films I've been really into.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is going to be a kid's show, so I don't think it's going to be like the Phasma novel or comic, or even her brief appearances in the Poe Dameron comic. But yeah, I am hopeful that they continue to give her a little bit more to do that would make her more satisfying of a character than what we saw in The Force Awakens and in The Last Jedi.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Phasma book, but I don't know that we'll ever get anything on screen that will do it justice. I think
on the big screen.
Yeah, on the big screen to really do that story justice. Like you said, it is a kid's show. She may just be that villain that keeps popping up every once in a while, but hopefully they'll give her lots more to do.
Yeah, I guess I kind of do think that she'll be kind of like what we saw in the Poe Dameron comic, where every once in a while she popped up in a hologram and gave Agent Terex orders. It's probably going to be like that, where she just kind of like pops in every now and then, but the main villain will be someone new. That's my guess.
Yeah. Spark Manley, a new patron, asks if we'll ever get a movie with an alien lead, and if so, will it be an existing or a new character?
First of all, thank you for joining our Patreon. Will we get an alien character? It's something that I hope to see. I would love to see like an alien main character. I do think that it can be difficult to do that because, like, let's say you cast someone big in the role, they might not want to be covered up in makeup.
Yeah.
Now, like a Twi'lek or something, that's not too much makeup. And I mean, there's also plenty of examples of movies where that hasn't been an issue, like Andy Serkis in the Planet of the Apes movies. Like, he's the main character and you don't see his face. So
that's true.
I think that there is potential for it. And I absolutely would love to see that happen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that it's going to happen soon. I expect that the main characters are, I don't know. I always feel like the main characters are humans, and part of that's budgetary reason and part of that's like marketing reasoning. But yeah, I think it would be great.
Like, besides Planet of the Apes, what are some other cases of movies where there's a non-human main character? I think that's something that for animated stuff would be perfect and great. And like Rebels did that really well.
Yeah, like animation, pretty much anything becomes easier to do.
Yeah.
Live action is where it starts to get more difficult, but
the only movie popping into my head right now is E.T.
And I don't know if he's the main character. I don't know. But yeah, it's something I hope for. Who knows if it'll ever happen.
Hopefully we'll get more alien characters to have bigger roles, but maybe not the main character.
Yeah, like, I mean, Kira in Solo at one point was going to be an alien.
Yeah.
And I thought that would have been great. Like, yeah, let's maybe take some baby steps to get there. And like, also parts of the team in Rogue One, they were supposed to be aliens at one point. Like, let's move forward with that. We don't need 8 humans on a team. We can have 7 and a droid and also this big hulking alien.
Yeah.
Which I guess Chewbacca is, but
maybe we'll see Pikpa.
In
a big role, yeah.
We can dream.
Shannon Percy wants to know if we would be more inclined to see a Boba Fett movie if it were about him hunting down Mace Windu after the Clone Wars.
Well, this question kind of comes to us in a new light after some of the alleged news that Collider revealed on Wednesday about the standalone movies being on hold, but it still struck me as an interesting question that I wanted to answer. And it's more because of the Mace Windu thing than anything else. Because no, I don't want to see Boba Fett hunting Mace Windu. I don't want to see Mace Windu survive. I very firmly think that he should be dead after Revenge of the Sith, because that is a major, major turning point for Anakin. He caused Mace Windu's death. I see that as being a vital moment to him turning into Darth Vader. And retconning Mace into surviving, I just think kind of weakens that moment. So for me, I just don't want to see Mace Windu survive in any storytelling after Revenge of the Sith. And it wouldn't affect my feelings on a Boba Fett movie either way, if that ever happens now.
Yeah. Agreed.
Okay.
Nicholas Johnson asks what the most difficult aspect of the Schmodown was. Well, to be honest... No, just kidding.
Well, I mean, we're probably going to say the same thing, because you are involved in what I think is the most difficult part.
Studying?
No. but yes, that too. But the intro and the, like, doing the actual trivia contest is nerve-wracking, but every time, I've done it twice now, I am far more nervous about, like, the promos beforehand where you're supposed to, like, talk trash and stuff, and it's all in good fun. But kind of standing in front of 300 people that are a live audience and saying all that stuff, and then having to walk down, like, acting like a wrestler and being a showboat, that's just not me at all. And it was very helpful at the live event, like having you with me, and we at least had hands to shake.
That was a last minute decision.
Yeah.
Everybody was like, "Are you going to walk down with him?" And I was like, "What? Why would I?" Oh, okay, sure, why not?
Like, having things to do is helpful. And in my first Schmodown, if you watch that, like, I didn't know what to do, so I walk out and I kind of, like, point at my head a little bit and I sit down. It took 2 seconds. Meanwhile, Steel from Steel Wars is, like, going out there and doing actual wrestling things, and like Joseph Scrimshaw's doing force poses and stuff. It's just like, I'm just there to talk about Star Wars is how I feel. And so, yeah, the whole kind of acting part about the Schmodown is hard for me, but I'm working on it. I want to be more of a showman.
Yeah, we've got something that we're working on, maybe a little bit for the next one.
Yeah.
So we'll see. For me, I create a bunch of trivia questions for him in the usually days leading up to, but weeks leading up to these kinds of events, which can be a task.
It's probably also hard that, like, every time we get in a car, I'm like, quiz me. Like, you're stuck in here with me. You give me some questions.
Yep.
That's it for patron questions. If you're a patron and you didn't see your question answered here, just head over to Patreon where I left you a written response. If you're not a patron, you can learn more by following the link in the description. Just $1 a month will get you access to extra Star Wars Explained content like audio commentaries for the films, and the combined donations really go a long way in supporting the channel.
On to YouTube questions, Marvin Allen asks if any classic stories could get the Star Wars treatment in the future, in the same way that Lost Stars was kind of a retelling story of Romeo and Juliet.
The one that came to my mind when I read this question was King Kong, because the Zillo Beast in the Clone Wars is basically a King Kong story. They find this creature, they sedate it, they bring it to the big city, it runs amok, and it has to be put down, and it's pretty much a bummer.
Yeah, it's real sad.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm sure that can happen a lot of times. I mean, is there anyone that comes to mind that you would want to see retold?
I don't know. I mean, name off some classic stories that I could...
Casablanca.
Maybe...
What about Citizen Kane? Palpatine, Rosebud. And then we learn that it's his old hover sled.
I don't think I would watch that, but maybe.
I mean, the answer is, yeah, I think that there is definitely potential for that to happen. I am almost positive that there are other examples of stories. I mean,
if they ever bring back the Yuzhan Vong, that's not necessarily a classic story, but the idea of, like, an alien invasion and, like,
yeah,
everyone has to kind of team up. Like, the good guys and the bad guys that we have known thus far have to kind of team up against an even bigger bad guy.
That's a classic trope. I was about to say one, and then you made me lose my train of thought.
That's what I do.
Oh, yeah, okay. I mean, Star Wars itself takes a lot of inspiration from Akira Kurosawa movies. So, like, things like The Hidden Fortress, or even The Last Jedi did Rochambeau.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Karate Kid? Is that classic storytelling?
Sure. I don't recall anyone doing... I guess Rey is kind of a Karate Kid, kind of.
Yeah.
With her surly mentor. But yes.
Luke with Yoda.
God, we're rambling a lot today. But yes, I do think that there's plenty of potential for more classic films to be kind of adapted in a way for Star Wars.
Yeah. If you guys have any ideas for classic stories for Star Wars, leave them down
in the comments. That sounds like fun.
Leave them down below and we'll talk about them more. Nick Richard wants to know if the various dark side trials experienced by Luke, Rey, and Yoda were the same thing but experienced differently, or if they were completely unique to everyone. Also, could we see a similar trial in the Kenobi movie, which may or may not happen?
Man, we chose these questions. But still, I think this is a really great question. And as for the dark side trials, we're talking about Luke in the cave where he faces Vader and cuts his head off and sees his own face. We're talking about Rey in the mirror cave, and then Yoda in the Clone Wars has to face kind of a dark side version of himself. I don't know. I think that's a really interesting question. I think they were probably different and completely unique to the individual, especially because Yoda was going through like this very specific trial on the wellspring of life. It's a good question. I don't know.
If you haven't seen the Yoda episodes that this is concerning from the Clone Wars, watch them because they're really,
awesome.
They're really good and interesting.
I guess I get the feeling that they're all meant to be different because they're all kind of showing them different things. But thematically, they are similar.
It's catering to each person, but it's when you come down to it, it's still the dark side of the Force sending them this message.
This temptation, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the disappointing answer is that I don't know, and I just wanted to point out that I thought it was a really great and thematic question. As for Kenobi, I think that would be really interesting.
Yeah.
We've never seen him go through something like that, and since he's kind of going through something similar as Yoda, as he was in the Clone Wars, he's like learning what it means to become one with the Force. It would make sense that he would have to at some point, whether that's in the movie or not. Yeah, I don't know, but
they can't just show him hanging out in the desert for 2 hours.
Maybe the whole thing will be some trippy nightmare.
I'm sure if he had to go through something like that, it would be during those however many years that he's on Tatooine, waiting for Luke to grow up. Yeah, that'd be interesting to see.
There's got to be... I kind of feel like every planet maybe has some dark nexus to it. Not in the same way that, like, Moraband has, but powerful light, powerful dark. I think that there's might be on every planet some light side and dark side nexus. I could see that being a possibility. So maybe Kenobi trucks off to some dark side cave and has his own thing.
A Singular Koi asks, when we think we'll get a Star Wars movie all about the grunts, like clone or stormtroopers?
I would kind of argue that we already have. I mean, Rogue One was basically about who I would consider the grunts. Like, none of them were particularly important. They were important to us because that's how we were experiencing the story, but they were basically just soldiers.
Yeah. They were the heroes that Star Wars needed but didn't deserve.
Oh, okay.
But they were the unsung heroes. They just, like, Star Wars is just like, oh, we got the Death Star plans. And then Rogue One came out, and there's this whole backstory of all these different people that risked their lives to get those plans and went through all that stuff.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I would agree that that's kind of like a stormtrooper kind of grunt-like movie.
But... They were rebel grunts.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with the news coming out of Collider, like, in the past I would have said, given enough time with these standalone movies, yeah, we're probably going to get a lot of these ideas that people want, it'll probably happen. Now I don't know. Now they might only focus on the big heroes and the big events in the movies, if that's what the trilogies and the series are going to be about from now on. I don't think that's a bad idea. I think the Grunt-like stories might fall more into books and comics.
Yeah. Or like TV episodes. The one I'm thinking of is, was it Behind Imperial Eyes? Or
Through Imperial Eyes,
Through Imperial Eyes, which was an episode of Rebels. And it was all kind of like from the point of view of the Imperials. And that would be something really cool to see. I don't think it would be a standalone movie, but they could explore something like that.
I mean, that's
any TV show.
Yeah, the TV show could very well be, Favreau's show could be all about stormtroopers or all about rebel grunts, although we already kind of got that with Star Wars Rebels. I think we're pretty much going to get that with Star Wars Resistance, but yeah, I think a TV show would be a great place to explore the non-mythic heroes of Star Wars.
Nelkir Sanban Balgroof wants to know if we have any experience in Star Trek.
A little bit. I watched The Next Generation growing up with my dad off and on, and I watched some Deep Space Nine. I've seen most of the Next Generation movies. My experience with the original series, I just want to say original trilogy, but with the original series, not so much. I didn't watch any of that, really. I know I saw some of the series with Janeway. Now I can't even... Voyager. I've watched some Star Trek Voyager. And then recently we played the Star Trek Bridge Crew on the VR set.
I was going to say, I have no experience with Star Trek. I've seen a couple of the like original episodes. I've seen the Tribbles?
Yeah.
Tribbles episode.
Yeah, we've seen some stuff here and there. We're not diehard Star Trek fans. We have seen all of the new movies.
Yeah.
The Chris Pyne movies. So some experience, not a lot.
But the VR game,
yeah,
is really fun.
That was really fun.
What's it called?
Star Trek Bridge Crew.
Yeah,
that's really fun. But I immediately was like, it'd be better if it were Star Wars. Like if you had one person in the cockpit, two people like on the gun turrets. I mean, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
that's what I want.
Carbonite Hunter asks if there's any way to resurrect people in canon.
I'm gonna say no, or I doubt it. Mostly because I very much think that death should matter, like, all the time. As much as I like Darth Maul's story in the Clone Wars and beyond, I'm never going to be a fan of him coming back. Like I said with Mace Windu, don't want him to come back. I hated in Legends when the Emperor got cloned 1 billion times and kept on coming back. Like, death should matter. It should mean something. So I don't want that to happen necessarily. That said, there is probably a way, story-wise, that it could work. So I don't want to say never ever. We don't know everything there is to know about the Force, so it's possible. It's just something that I would be very wary of if they started to tap into.
Yeah. Is there anything from the Night Sisters magic that could allude to that?
I guess they do bring zombies back, but I mean, they're not... I was about
to say, if they ever did explore this in canon, I would like to see something kind of like in Game of Thrones, where like the Mountain is brought back, but he's kind of like a monster now.
There's the way that I think it could work is, if it were a dark side ability, but you came back kind of monstrous.
Yeah, that would be maybe if we ever got like a rated R Star Wars movie and or television show, which I would love, but
I don't think it's ever going to happen.
I don't think it would happen either. Maybe in the cartoon, something like that.
An R-rated cartoon?
No, but like seeing zombies or like someone brought back, but not quite right. Yeah. They might do something like that in a TV show or in a cartoon, but it would probably be done in a kind of a goofy way.
Yeah.
Anton Ladakanen wants to know if we'll review Indiana Jones 5 when it comes out.
This is kind of a bonus question because I wanted to get your opinion. I have considered doing like an Indiana Jones Explained channel because it is my other great film love. but there's not really nearly as much audience for Indiana Jones, and I don't know that it's even worth making another channel for it. I'm curious to know if you guys would want me to do trailer breakdowns and review the movie when it comes out. I mean, it would probably only be like the review and then 2 or 3 breakdowns over the course of 2 years.
Yeah.
So it's not like it would be a lot of content, but I wanted to see if you guys cared at all to know about Indiana Jones.
Would you want to do it on the main channel or make a separate channel?
That's what I'm saying. I would probably just do it here, where, I mean, it's Lucasfilm. It's Star Wars adjacent.
We could do it on the vlog channel.
Yeah. Where would you guys like to see something like that? Would you watch it here, or would you be annoyed by that? That's all the time we have for questions today. If you want to leave a question for next week's video, just put it in the comments below or sign up for Patreon to join our weekly Q&A discussion. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel,
and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.